Okay, and it's 3:30. I know people are still kind of coming in, but we'll go ahead and get started as we usually do, just with updates and announcements. Thank you for coming. This is the Libraries Build Business Community Discussion for March. These are informal monthly community meetings, peer-to-peer. So it's great to see folks here. You're welcome to come off mute or type in the chat at any point to comment, ask a question. Today we have Rachel Stevenson from the Erie County Public Library as our featured speaker today. She's going to be talking to us about capturing the kitchen table businesses. So we'll hear from her shortly. But in the meantime, if folks have announcements or updates on their programs that they want to share with the group, we can do that now, and feel free to say hi, either again by unmuting, or you can just type in the chat as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Forkenbrock, Public Services Librarian at North Liberty Library here in North Liberty, Iowa. A couple of announcements. One, we did have a successful First Fridays Coffee Connections events. First Fridays is a networking opportunity that our chamber holds every first Friday of the month at a different location in our community, and North Liberty Library was the location for March 1st. So we had about 37 attendees, which was a great turnout for a 7:30 a.m. event on a Friday morning. And we are currently planning our first 1 million cups event on April 17th. I think many people are aware of what 1 million cups is. If not, it is another networking opportunity. It gets its name from saying that, at 8:30, wherever we are on a work day at 8:30 a.m. During these events, nationwide, 1 million cups of coffee are drunk. So we are really looking forward to hosting our first 1 million cups event. We'll be working with the Iowa City chapter. Iowa City is about 15 minutes away from North Liberty, and we're hoping that this will be the beginning of creating a chapter here in North Liberty. That is my strategic plan goal for my library strategic plan. So really looking forward to this April 17th event, and just wish me all the luck in the world. Wish us all the luck in the world with it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for that update. And we will be waiting to hear about 1 million cups. And yeah, I know some of the libraries here do 1 million cups. I don't know if anyone's here that has a program, but anybody else want to share an update or an announcement?
I can chime in.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Stacey.
No, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So we are offering our first middle school entrepreneur academy. So we hosted classes at 2 different library systems, and then on Saturday we're hosting a combined business pitch competition. And the kids were ranging from 11 to 14, and we had 2 classes at the one location, and then this week we had 2 classes at the other location. The pitch competition, all the kids are going to come together to share their ideas in front of 3 judges. So someone from one of the local improvement associations, someone from our Department of Economic Workforce and Development, and then someone from one of the local universities is going to be a judge as well. So I'm excited for the kids to be able to present. They've had really adorable and creative ideas. So that's this Saturday. So hoping it's a good event. So thank you.
Super cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what they're pitching. That's awesome. Stacey, did you have something?
Oh, I was just going to mention my colleague with the City Library System in Spokane, Mark Pond, and I, along with one of his colleagues in their communication department, presented at our state library conference a session on collaborating.
Stacey, you went on mute. I don't know how that happened.
I was flailing my mouse around. That was probably the problem. So I put a link in the chat. My colleague at Spokane Public Library and one of his colleagues did a session at our state library conference the first weekend in March on startupspokane.com, which was a collaboration. I know Megan knows about it. And so we had a smallish session. We woke up to snow that morning. It was like two inches of snow. Welcome to Spokane, everybody. But it was a great way to highlight how collaborations can work. And then we also talked about some of our favorite business resources. And in Washington State, we're lucky that we have a statewide database license for LinkedIn Learning. And we saw some light bulbs go off about how people hadn't really thought of that as a business resource, but it can be a business resource. And then we got bad news from our Gale rep that week, and many of you probably know this, but I guess they're sunsetting demographics now. And so if anyone is looking at other resources, I would love to see what you're looking at dropped in the chat, because we're going to be evaluating what we might be replacing that with. But I guess they're having trouble with like some of the data isn't getting updated. And so I think it's going to be about a year. But we're not clear on how much, if any, updating to the data is going to happen in the next year. So if you haven't talked to your Gale rep yet, expect a call. But yeah, I would love. What?
Stacy, this is Robbie, and I think I missed part of what you said. Did you say that demographics now is going to cease?
That is what our Gale rep told us.
Really?
Because, yeah.
Thank you
for
letting me know.
And it sounded like we were maybe in the first wave of clients that they'd been talking to. So I know that my colleague at SPL, Spokane Public Library, they had a conversation the following week after the conference. So yeah, it sounds like about a year, like April of 25 is when that's going to be officially done, but just be aware. So
Thanks, Stacy. I'm so glad your presentation went well at the state conference. Jen, do you want to talk about your article? Congratulations. I read it. It was great.
Not really. It's, it was nice article. Yeah, so nice to be recognized.
Yeah, so I posted Jen posted the link in the chat, and I posted it in Slack yesterday, but Jen and Jay Lyman from Seattle, a couple other libraries, but folks I didn't know, were featured in a entrepreneurship article specifically about cannabis businesses. So if you've been part of this group for a while, you probably heard Jennifer talk about their cannabis initiative in Rochester, and you can catch that in the recording if you're interested, or read the article. So cool. Anybody else want to say hi or tell us what you're working on?
I've got a brief update as far as National Small Business Week. People are interested in hearing more about that. But yeah, so to reiterate from last month, for this year's National Small Business Week, which is coming up April 28th through May 4th, I was hoping to put on a social media campaign consisting of libraries showcasing their business support services, as well as potentially career readiness and partnerships with development organizations. And the general goal is to have a series of short videos in social media format, similar to what you might see on TikTok or on an Instagram reel. And ultimately, since I understand that, certain that libraries do have some restrictions on what they can prepare and post, and how there's, a number of approvals that you have to go through, the subject of this video can ultimately be up to you and up to what best fits for your library. Generally, as long as it fits within the theme of National Small Business Week. So, like I said, videos showcasing career readiness services or partnerships or other programs related to economic development. Since there's a lot of different ways for a library to build business, I think it's important to make sure that all of these are represented. And just a couple clarification points on this. This is not a mandatory activity. It's interest, if you're interested only. And these videos are going to be used jointly by your library social media and by ALA during National Small Business Week. And as far as what people can expect from me, I'm going to be putting together a tip sheet for people who are interested in making a video, but would like a bit more guidance on the video making process. I'm also available to review any early cuts of a video or concepts or provide editing or technical assistance. And if anyone wants to discuss this with me one-on-one or would like, or, you know, have any additional questions, please reach out to me in the Slack channel. And as a final point, if you're interested in being a part of a national small business campaign, but not quite sure that you would like to make a video, I'll be coming up with other ways for members of this group to participate. If there's any questions now, please let me know. If I have questions later, yeah, please find me on Slack. Or I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, definitely let us know about National Small Business Week if you want to participate. Jim, did you share the dates of that?
Oh, April 28th through May 4th, but I'll put those again.
Okay. So yeah, Jim's been working with some of you already to do a video campaign, some social media. We'll be doing other types of social media campaign as well to get people engaged on there. And yeah, I think more details to follow, so thank you. I have a couple of announcements as well. Let's see, I'm trying to read chat. First of all, PLA, if folks are going, I would love to hear from you. I am presenting on Wednesday at PLA about the Libraries Build Business Communications Toolkit with Audrey Barbakoff. So we would love to see you there. That's Wednesday morning. And at any point during the conference, please say hi if you're going to be there. Let's see. Oh, good. Great, Jana. Yeah. And I was going to say, so if folks want to like get together for lunch or coffee or something, a little besides that business program, I'm sure there's some other business related programming. I haven't looked yet, but it would be nice to meet people in person. Let's see. I don't know. Kelly's here as well. So Kelly, you can help me if I forget the dates, but the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference pitch competition is happening again this spring. I will post all the details in Slack. The workshop is coming up on March 27th, and that is something that's great to attend if you are considering submitting a pitch. People will talk a little bit about what makes a good pitch, what their past experiences were, what you're like from the business perspective, what folks are listening for and thinking about what receives funding. So check that out. Again, I'll post the registration info in Slack so you have that. And then pitches are due on April 5th. So if you're thinking about submitting it, this is, and I should back up, I'm sorry. So this is the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference pitch competition. They're giving away $7,000 this year to 3 pitch finalists. So your library could win a micro grant to implement some sort of small business or entrepreneurship initiative. Pitches are due on April 5th. I will post the link for that for folks that are interested. Anyone that's thinking about doing business services is welcome to submit. And then we will pitch live on Zoom on May 15th. And that's a lot of fun. You pitch in front of an audience of libraries and supporters, as well as a panel of judges. It's a great experience. Yeah, I would encourage any of you to do that. And if you need more information, check Slack and let me know. And I don't know, I see some people that participate in the past. I see Carly, I see Jennifer. If anybody wants to chime in on the experience?
I can chime in. I think it was a great experience because it gives you a lot of freedom to be able to pursue something you might have wanted to pursue but didn't have the funding to actually do it. So ELC was a great opportunity to I don't know, make something that you've been developing actually happen. So I'm excited for it this year and to attend. I'm excited to hear the new ideas. So definitely apply.
Thanks, Carly. Kelly or Ginny, was there anything I left out that we should be sure to announce?
No, I think you got it covered. It's a wonderful event. I'm currently on the board for ELC, but I've attended the last 3 pitch events. I've helped plan events in the past, and it's just a wonderful experience. If anything, attending the workshop on the 27th is very beneficial to give you more of an idea of what the pitch day will look like. But if you go to the website, you can see past pitch competitions that are in the archive on the website. It's just, I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite non-library, as in my library, things I like to do. So I hope to see everyone there. And if you are unable to be there, just let us know, and also pass the word, spread the word. We're trying to get the word out to all library groups, all library organizations, so that they are aware of the event. So yeah, good stuff.
Thanks, Kelly. And Jenny dropped the link for us. Thank you. Okay. So I will post more details on Slack, so check that out. But yeah, definitely we encourage you to attend the workshop and then to consider you're putting in a pitch as well. These are monthly informal meetings. We have our featured speaker today, Rachel Stevenson from the Erie County Public Library, to talk to us about capturing the kitchen table businesses. So we're really excited to hear from her. Thank you for being here, Rachel. These are peer-to-peer, peer-led. So if you're ever interested in being a featured speaker or a discussion facilitator, we've had a lot of fun with these meetings over the past couple of years. Definitely let me know. I'm actually still looking for someone for April, so I would love for you to come and talk about what you're working on. And then we record all of the meetings. So if you've missed a past meeting or you're new to the group and you want to get caught up on what we've talked about in the past, we have a YouTube channel. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. Yeah, and I think that's it from me. Any other questions or updates before I turn it over to Rachel? Okay, well, it's great to see everyone here today. And Rachel, you have the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So last October, I posted that we had done a program called the Creative Small Business Symposium. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be doing our second one. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And then if we have some time, we'll also talk about a before you start a business canvas that we created for those kitchen table businesses that are kind of in the ideation phase of the business process. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So, what is a kitchen table business? And for us here at the Erie County Public Library, a kitchen table business is kind of the bread and butter of what we handle. We don't handle those businesses that are really far along in the process. We have other parts of our entrepreneurial ecosystem in Erie that handle those. We're really here to help people that are just starting out, that are just beginning, that aren't quite ready to go to small business development centers yet, but that are in a phase where they think they would like to start a business. And what is a kitchen table business to us? It's those small businesses that are starting at a kitchen or a dining room table. Like literally you have and a kitchen table or a dining room table, and that's where you're starting your business and you're working from there. And all of these photos that you see in this presentation are photos from the Creative Small Business Seminar. So they are our teachers and they are our attendees. So how did we start with the Creative Small Business Symposium? Every day I read the newspaper, the local newspaper, and I check CNN just to see what's going on, and the BBC and a bunch of other websites just to see what I need to know about what's happening in the business world. And I happened to read an article that the Redevelopment Authority was getting ready to give away creative small business grants. And along with being the business librarian, I am also the grant librarian. So I called the Redevelopment Authority and I said, hey, would you like me to teach a grant workshop for you guys? And they came back to me and they said, not only would we like you to teach a grant workshop, we'd love to partner with the library and do a creative small business symposium and teach a bunch of classes. And so we wanted to teach a bunch of, we taught 12 classes plus a grant class. And the layout of the day is we had breakfast and lunch that were provided, and we had classes that were offered with 3 classes per session, and you got to choose 1 class per session. And the grant class was mandatory to be able to apply for the grant. And that was a stipulation that was put on by the Redevelopment Authority. So we went from there and we found our speakers, and these are the classes we taught. We taught what the Beehive can do for you. And for those of you who don't know what the Beehive is, and I would imagine that's the majority of you, here in Erie County, we have what is called the Beehive, and it is a consortium of all the colleges and universities, as well as the public library. And each of us has a section of business that we focus on, such as Penn State Barron focuses on creating prototypes, and Penn West Edinburgh focuses on marketing and things like that. So each one of us has a specialty that we focus on to help small businesses, and we feed each other. We feed people into the different Beehive sections. So we did what the Beehive can do for you to introduce the Beehive. We did what your accountant needs from you to stay happy. We had an intellectual property lawyer come in and talk about intellectual property. We had a program on artist statements and bios because we were doing a creative small business symposium for creative businesses, a program about pricing your work, a program on small business law, because we get a lot of questions about small business law here. And since none of the librarians are also lawyers, we decided to bring somebody in and talk about this. This was something that was originally not on the list for the Redevelopment Authority. The Redevelopment Authority came to me with a list, and I said, I want to add small business law because I think it's important. We had the grant program. We also had a class on branding and logos, as well as fairs and festivals, because obviously we're doing creative businesses, marketing and social media, places to get funding, opportunities for creatives, and online stores and sales. So some of the takeaways that we had were, next time we do this program, we shouldn't do it for just creatives. We should open it up to all types of small businesses. And that's what we decided to do this time. So we opened it up to all types of small businesses, and we're getting a really good sign up rate. We're over halfway full, and we're about 2 weeks out from the actual program. So that's good. We learned that we had too many classes at once. So people didn't like having to choose between 3 classes. They were like, I want to take this class and I want to take this class. So that was something that we learned from our feedback. We also learned that too much time was given for breakfast and lunch. And one of the reasons we did that is we were hoping people would network, but it didn't turn into a networking session like we had hoped. So that was an issue. And also the classes that we thought were going to be popular were not as popular as other classes. So that was something that we kept in mind for when we planned the second one. So for this time, we have fewer classes. We've taken away the classes for creatives, like the pricing your work. We did keep selling online, but we took away artist statements and bios as well. We opened it up to all types of small businesses. We shortened the day, so it doesn't go from 9 to 5 anymore. It goes from 9:15 to 4. And we took away breakfast and are just doing a half-hour lunch instead of an hour lunch. The class sizes are bigger. Before because of room restrictions, we could only have 10 people in a class, and now we can have 30 people in a class. So we can have 60 people total, 30 people in a class, and then we opened it up to 2 classes per session with 3 sessions, and then a grant class that is optional. So if you don't stay for the grant class, if you want to apply for the Creative Small Business Grant, you do have to attend that. But if you don't want to, your day ends at 3 instead of ending at 4. So the benefit of the project was more people know about our services, more people see what the library offers. We brought together 3 organizations, the library, the Beehive, which the library is always already part of, but also the Redevelopment Authority. And now we've created a really strong bond with the Redevelopment Authority, which is nice, because it's always good to have another ally in the county. And we also learned what our community needs, and what they're looking for in classes in small business. So that was really helpful. We know that some of the more popular classes we have, we try to offer an entrepreneurial class every month. We will be offering those, some of the more popular classes each month at the end of the month, when we offer it the 4th Wednesday of the month, so that people who didn't get into the class can take the class. If anybody wants to see how they can recreate the Small Business Symposium themselves, this is my contact information. Please feel free to contact me. I would love to talk to you about it. It was a great experience. We had all sorts of people. We had the chamber come. We had other organizations, other entrepreneurial ecosystems come and talk to us, and they were really impressed with what the library could put on. So I was really happy about that, because it really put a good face for the library and what we can do business-wise. I'm going to escape out of this, and then I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And then, all right, so it looks like there are some questions. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's all about the store awesome job. Okay. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And so this here is what I call the Before You Start a Business Canvas. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the business canvas. And this one we created because we had so many people who weren't quite ready to start with the business canvas. They were just in the ideation phase, that I created my own Before You Start a Business Canvas, so that we could have classes on what to think about before you start a business. The first part is hello, I am, and you go through this as kind of an icebreaker, but also so I can get to know who you are, I can get to know what your business is, I can get to know what you hope to learn and what you're excited for in the class. And that helps me each time to figure out who's who and what's what and where they are standing in their business, or their ideation phase. The thing that I always tell, a funny story about me, is once I had to put 53 pillows in my 2002 Honda CR-V for a group of singing priests that were coming to a camp that I was running. And I thought that if I ever got into an accident, that was the day to do it, because I would be really, really safe. And most people don't mind saying this, although they're kind of do have a hard time introducing themselves, but it gets to the point where, you know, you're like, just fill out what you can and talk about what you can. And if you're not comfortable with something, then you don't have to do it. And then we go down to our why statement, and that's I am a business librarian to help my community better understand business practices, so I can create a more vibrant Erie, because that's what I'm passionate about. And so we talk about our why statements and why we want to start businesses and why we're doing what we're doing. And then we go into our values. And for the values, I say this doesn't have to be values that you want to take into your business. It could be just your personal values or values that you do want to take into your business, what you're looking for. And then we talk about the top 10 roles or identities that describe yourself or you see yourself in now. And the reason for that is because you'll realize how much you're actually doing as a single person when you write it down on these little heads of what you're doing and what you see yourself as. And then we talk about what skills do you need. So if you look at the skills that you have as the person you are, you can look at what skills you need for your business and write those down. And then I always like to remind them to not just celebrate achievements, but celebrate learning opportunities. And some people call those failures, but I call them learning opportunities because I think it's important to look at them as that. I used to own a cupcake business. I made designer cupcakes and it failed. And I will openly admit that. And I tell everybody in this class that I had a learning opportunity. And I learned that I was in the wrong marketplace for my cupcakes and that most people wanted chocolate and vanilla with fancy frosting. Well, I made kind of different types of cupcakes that were like red wine with chocolate pudding and, you know, like cream cheese frosting or just like really exotic flavors. And nobody wanted those chocolate, vanilla, fancy frosting. And then we go into bail, and I say that you want to get bail before you need bail. And that's get a bank account, an accountant, insurance, and a lawyer. And I always think that's very important. We always recommend trying to get an accountant instead of doing your own accounts, just because we think that's one of the smarter ideas here at the Erie County Public Library. Next, we talk about what change do you want to make in the world with your business? Kind of getting to that big idea, if you want to see any change. And then we talk about what future you want to see in your lifetime. You know, what do you want to see with this business? Where do you want it to go? And then we finally talk about your end goal, because we think it's important to talk about how you want this business to end before you even begin. Do you want to grow this business and sell it to a major conglomerate? Do you want to take this business and pass it down to your family? Do you want it to just be a side hustle until you decide to retire, which is totally fine too? Or do you just want to run the business until you're ready to retire and then shut it down? And one of my friends who is listed in Forbes 40 under 40 for entrepreneurship said that was one of the things that's really important, is to always think, what is your end goal? Because she started an organic blueberry business and it grew so fast that she wasn't expecting it. And then she and her husband wanted to move to North Carolina to be next to her, close to her daughter, their daughter. And they had no idea how to shut down this $3 million organic blueberry business because they never thought about it. So I think that's important. Finally, after that, we do one more exercise. And that's this exercise here. After you start your business, what roles or identities do you want others to be in? And so we just talk about, like, what roles do you want to give up? Do you not want to be your own accountant? Do you not want to be your own secretary? Do you not want to be your own whatever it is? And talk about how you can think about getting people into those roles once you're ready. And so that is the business canvas that we use, the before you start a business canvas, and then the side activity that we have with it, and the Creative Small Business Symposium. So that went by kind of quick. I'm going to openly admit that I'm a little under the weather today, but I still wanted to do this presentation, so I might have gone through things a little quicker than I normally would have. But I'm ready to take any questions if anybody has any, or if you just want to talk about other things, that would be great.
Hi, I dropped this question in the chat, but I'll go ahead and speak on it. So I was curious about the decision to not keep the program limited to creatives, and was that because the actual demographic of Erie or your community didn't align with that curriculum, or was it due to demand or desire to be more inclusive?
So what happened is we had a bunch of people sign up that were not creatives because the term creative was very loosely defined by the Redevelopment Authority. And so we decided that since this time we could open it up to 60 people instead of 30 people, that we would open it up to all types of businesses because there was a demand for it. And we thought that we should, that based on the feedback we were given from, because we did a survey for the last one based on the feedback, that it would be a smart idea to open it up to all types of businesses and change some of the courses around so it was more inclusive. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. How did we recruit teachers for the different sessions? So they all joke here at the library, and I might date myself with this, but I have a Rolodex that like is nobody's business when it comes to teachers that we need. So I say that I never stop. I say that I never stop being a librarian, and I'll be like at the deli counter at the grocery store and somebody will be wearing a shirt or something and I'll be like, oh, Presque Isle Birds, are you a birder? And they'll be like, yes, I'm in charge of birds for Presque Isle, which is this beach in Erie. And I'll be like, oh, do you want to do a program for us? And I'll like whip out my business card because I keep them in my wallet, I keep them in my phone, I like keep them everywhere, and just be like, and they'll hand me a business card back. And so I'm just constantly making connections, constantly networking, constantly trying to find people that'll be willing to do programs for us. And in return, I do things for them as well, like write them recommendations on LinkedIn and try to make sure that they understand that we're happy to help them out how we can. We did pay people $150 and the Redevelopment Authority paid for that. But it was interesting because there were so many people who were like, can you please not pay me? Can we just like donate the money back to the library? So it's just a lot of people in Erie are very happy to help out the library. They just see it as a great resource. And so I just say, keep networking, 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 and then call and ask. And if you don't have somebody, I just start Googling and I'm like, small business accountant. And then I just start calling people till they say yes. What kind of feedback have you gotten from people who have gone through the program, use the sheets? A lot of people like the sheets. They think that the Canvas helps them get through their ideas and get ready to go through the next step, which is what we do is we hold the before you start a business canvas, and then a few months later we'll do the business canvas program. And a lot of people will return for that. And they're like, I have my business idea, I'm good to go. And then after they do the business canvas, we'll send them on to people, to like the Small Business Development Center to write a business plan. Really, one of the interesting things is that a lot of people are like, people are really willing to share their business ideas. And I'm like, they do. And we talk about how, you know, this room is a safe space and we don't talk about things outside of this room and we don't steal each other's ideas. And so far it has worked. So that's good. There are so many things that I would love to add to the worksheet. You know, I think that there are so many things. There are so many things that you could talk about when you want to start a business, you know, kind of, do you have any idea about funding or anything like that? Or do you have any idea about what you want to sorry, I'm just reading as this goes in. You know, there are so many things that I wish I could just add a bunch, but then the paper would just get insane and I only have so much budget to print so many things. Is there a follow-up session? Yes, we do the business canvas. And then we do have a session for people who have started a business, are successfully in that were successfully in that business, and then have to pivot for some reason, say like COVID came around and they need to pivot because they had to close their store. So we have 3 sections of this business canvas, and we can go through each section. So Dorothy, last year's cohort for the business canvas or for the Creative Small Business Symposium, can you clarify, please? Okay. We have had success with the business canvas. The before you start a business canvas, we've had people who, there's a guy who came in kind of thinking about starting a hot sauce business, and he is now selling all kinds of hot sauces, and he's looking for a brick and mortar store in Erie. So that's one of the success stories that we have. We haven't followed up with people on the Creative Small Business Symposium, but I hope some of them will come back and let us know if it was helpful or not. I know a lot of people had heard about it and are very excited that we're offering it again. Thank you.
Rachel, can I ask, was it a challenge to put all the people and organize such an event, or did you find it easy? Did you find it hard? Was it a lot of time and effort? What about the planning?
So Stuart, I used to be an event coordinator in a former life, so it's pretty easy for me, but I know that it's not for everybody else. But I will say that event coordinating is one of the most practical skills that I've brought to becoming a librarian. It was being an event coordinator for colleges and universities and planning like those big events like homecoming and graduation and stuff like that. Like that makes the Small Business Symposium with 60 people look like a cakewalk. So, are your worksheets based on Strategizer, Alex Osterwalder? No, Rachel, I don't know what Strategizer is. My business canvas that I use is based off of one that co-starters used, and then I created the other ones just kind of based on my knowledge from having a business myself and finding that I didn't do a good job at my business. So I think like when we start with somebody asked like, do we have how completing a lean canvas translates to whether their business is viable? So we, how would I explain? We would send them to another part of the beehive to talk about if their business is viable. So we get them to the point where they start thinking about their business. They can talk intelligently about their business to professionals who can help them with business plans, who can help them with financing, who can help them with marketing, who can help them with market research and things like that. So our part of the beehive is to get them to be able to talk about it, to explain it, to do their elevator pitches and things like that. And then we send them on to somebody else in the beehive to talk about whether or not it's viable. Do I tell them that most small businesses fail within 3 years? I do. I'm honest with them. I talk about, the realities of what they're going to do and how it doesn't always work out how they want to. but that's not the part of the beehive that we are. We are the part that gets them ready to talk to people about that, if that makes any sense.
Thank you, Rachel. That was awesome. And a lot of questions came in. I was just looking back through. I think you got them all, so good job.
Okay.
If your question wasn't answered, go ahead and type it in the chat again, or just feel free to unmute. Or if people still have questions, same, unmute or type in the chat. We've still got some time. Yeah, that was so great. Thank you so much. That was
Sure.
really cool tools for us to think about.
And Rachel, thank you for the worksheet compliment. I think it's like, I did see, I have seen like other business model canvases, just not the one that you were talking about. And I didn't like how it's just like words and blocks. I wanted to put like little pictures in there, so it was a little more graphic, because I know that people sometimes think in pictures.
Anybody else have questions or comments, got their wheels turning and want to share what they're thinking about?
Wanted to follow up on a question that I think, Randy asked about. How do you explain how completing the canvas translates to whether their business is viable? Because I too have a lot of folks who come in and say, I need to make money right now.
So we do talk about the fact that when we do the business canvas, so when we follow up with the business canvas in 2 months' time, we do talk about the fact that your return on investment, you might not make money, you might not hit a break-even point until like 5 years after. I think the average is 3 to 5 years after you start your business. And we talk about that, and we even have a gentleman who will come in and discuss his business and how he only recently started making money from it. And so we have like a group of entrepreneurs that have gone through the beehive that'll come in and talk as well, if we ask them to, which is really helpful. And say like, well, we went through this and we went through that, and then we discovered, we didn't, he'll be like, I spent $10,000 of my own money, and I'm only now making that money back and seeing a profit. And he'll say, it took me 5 years to get to that point. So we are open, we are honest with them, and talk about like, if you need to make money now, this might not be the best route for you, because you're going to have to expend money first, and you're going to have to, you might not hit your break-even point for a while, especially if you're selling something, have a product or something like that. It doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of folks about, maybe we need to talk about just getting a job now. And, make this plan, but maybe in next year, put it into practice.
I know this isn't it's a business of sorts, but somebody came to me and said that they wanted to be a writer, and that they wanted to be a writer because they wanted freedom from their schedule. And I was like, have you ever talked to a writer? Because they will tell you that like, they have a schedule, like they sit down from 9 to 5 or from like 9 to noon and they write, and then like from 1 to 5 after they have lunch, from like 1 to 5 they're researching if they're historical fiction writers or doing whatever. That's great, Jana, that you offer small business programs specifically for writers, but it was like, you know, they have a schedule, and she's like, I know, but I could just go outside if I wanted to write. And I was like, no, because it doesn't always, you know, like you have to have your space and where you write, and if you don't want to get distracted, and it's not necessarily what you think it is. It's not all the fun and games of just sitting there and writing out. So yeah.
I think you just made a really great point, Rachel. I said in the comments that we found that small business programming kind of for a generalist audience for us doesn't work that well, but we're also in a city of 1 million people and a geographic area with like 7 million people. So there's a lot of services. So at this point, we focused on like small business for writers, because we've worked a lot with writers and have built that audience. And we do it for musicians too, because we do a lot of music programming. And so we found with those niches, you know, we have really good luck with that programming, but we have to have a lot of those conversations that the business part isn't the going outside when you feel like it part. That it's hard for, I think it's hard for people to wrap their heads around. It's
Yeah.
not all.
I think you're right. I think people see like starting a business as easy money when it's not necessarily easy money. And the reason we focus in on kitchen table businesses is we are not as in a large area as you are, but we have such a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem that we really, like, nobody is catching those small businesses that are just beginning. And so we feel that that's where we can be, and that's our role. Like, we get you prepared to say, hey, we are ready. Like, we get you prepared to go out. Like, we birth the baby, and then we get them to like the age where they can talk and everything, and then we push them out the door and be like, okay, now you're ready to go talk to somebody else. And Jennifer, I feel very badly for your client. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you, Rachel. Any final thoughts or inspiration you want to share with us, or does anybody else have questions, comments, things they're thinking about?
So I'll just say again, if you want to contact me about doing a creative small business symposium, you know, or a small business symposium, drop me a line, give me a call. I'd be happy to talk about it.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for today and for staying in touch with everyone. I just dropped a quick exit ticket in the chat. You can follow that link and just give some feedback on the topic today and future topics. Like I mentioned, I'm always looking for folks to be a presenter or a facilitator of the meeting. So if you have something you want to share, something you're thinking about, I would love to have you do what Rachel did today. So please reach out to me, and we're actually still looking for someone for the April meeting. So yeah, that would be great. And thanks again, everyone, for being here today. Keep an eye on Slack. If you got logged out of Slack and you need to get logged back in, let me know. But we do post a lot of announcements and things there, and I will be posting the information about the ELC pitch competition and the workshop there. So definitely keep that on your radar. Okay, well, I'll keep the line open if anybody wants to chat, but otherwise, have a good rest of your afternoon. And thanks for being here. It's great to see everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.